Hello and welcome to the Parent-Teen Connection podcast. My name is Sam Eastop and I'm joined by my mum, Rachel Eastop. She's a counselling psychotherapist, as she likes to say. I am
That's what it is.
It is what it is. She likes to say it every single week, so I thought I'd say it. I am an actor and singer and I've got no work at the minute. This is what I'm doing. So today we are going to be talking about finding the right space, as you can see. Very important topic. I shall be doing my Angels and Demons segment as well, where we cover heroic teens and some very bad teens and look at the behaviours of both and analyse them and kind of talk about them, which should be fun. So, how was your week, Mum? First to start off, let's have a bit of chat.
Busy, Sam. Busy. Sunday was the first day I had off. Huh?
Busy bee.
Stupid busy. I was going to say, Sunday's the first day I had off in 14 days.
That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, working far too hard. However, do enjoy it though. And I've been thinking about teenagers at the moment, older teenagers, or those in the middle, I don't know, who are at home still, homeschooling, right? And what I'm thinking about is that for them, their workspace is the same as their chill out space, is the same as their sleeping space, is the same as their playing space, and for some it's the same as their eating space. It's basically their bedroom. And what I'm picking up from the young people that I'm working with is this lockdown's harder than the last one. It feels harder, even though it's not as long, but it feels harder. And for some, they've kind of stopped looking after themselves. You know, they're getting up, they're not really washing, they're just rocking up to their class, which is in their bedroom, and they are not really feeling it. They're not feeling refreshed. They're not able to focus. They're really struggling throughout the day. And school and the pressures of school and work and stresses have come into their safe space, if you like. And I think bedrooms are really important for young people. You'll be able to say that because I think it's still important for you now.
Yeah.
Somewhere to retreat to, somewhere to go to, somewhere that's yours is now being shared, a shared space. And I just want to say, parents and young people, if you can, in your house, what I recommend is that you find a space, if you haven't already, that's not the bedroom for the young person to use for their school day. It might have to be a shared space that, you know, if that's intolerable for you all, then okay. But if you can just, even if it's just the top of the stairs, somewhere that you can find, and also to encourage young people, pupils at school, to get up, have a shower, go downstairs, grab some breakfast, get out in the back garden, breathe in some fresh air, you know, have a workspace, a work time, and then during break times, go to your bedroom. During lunchtime, go to your room, chill out. What do you think about that, Sam?
I think that's a great idea. Also, the weather's hopefully, fingers crossed, going to start changing soon as well into spring. So definitely a reason to get outside and stuff like that. Good morning, Joe. How are you doing?
Good morning, Joe.
Nice to see you again. Hello, Mandy. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for joining. But no, yeah, it's a good shout. Even just for this 1 hour long podcast, I don't do it in my bedroom. I do it down in our like open plan kitchen dining room. You know, like, which is a big room in the house, is like, you know, half the house downstairs. But I'm like, shut the doors, get out. This is my space when we're doing the podcast. So,
yeah,
I know that like a school day, the whole day of that, and that would be probably quite a lot. But yeah, I think it's a great idea to get out of the bedroom.
Even if you manage to do it,
young people spend their time there all the time anyway. So, I mean, it's like they're in there all the time, so you don't want them to be in there all the time, because then they're just gonna like. That's no longer a special place. You're almost like poisoning the special area. I totally agree with that, actually.
Exactly. And even if you could just get one lesson a day, you think, right, well, you know, whoever's taking up that space is not there for this time. I'll use it. I'll go down. Just get a break, a change of scenery. but also looking after yourself. It's not just about personal hygiene. It's just about setting you up for the day. Have a shower or have something to eat. Move your body around. Because the thing is, you can wake up, go to the loo, come back into your room and not leave that room until until tea time, maybe even. I don't even. And then you bring your tea up to your room. So I'm just saying, keep the sacred space that is your bedroom. Find a different space. Find the right space to do some studying in. That's not going to bring all the pressures of work, and also you're leaving your school books out. It's invading your space, so your private space is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think that people are feeling that kind of, the walls are closing in. So that's my advice for this
I've got
week.
some pals that are still in uni as well, and they're saying that they'll literally just wake up, roll over, press a button on their laptop, and then they're in class. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll just be in bed, and it's like, I get it, because you're just like, I don't need to go anywhere, I can just be lazy and I can get up like 3 minutes before I need to be there. But you're also not switched on enough. You need to be for a class, especially in university, and like, there's just like a whole mindset, like, are you really going to try hard in that class if you're just lying in bed and in your pajamas? I mean, like,
you're not psyched up for
you're not ready for it.
The class. I
went to classes in uni and I wasn't ready for some of those classes. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that while you're rolling over in bed. It doesn't work. Hello, Martin. In the comments,
hi, Martin.
hello. I've got another comment from Joe here. It says, it's so tough right now for everyone, but especially children at school. My own 15-year-old is finding it really stressful, but at least she is allowed into school for a full day today and half a day Fridays. That's quite good. Development, getting somewhere in schools, that's always good. It is definitely tough though.
It is tough. It is hard, and I feel for the 15-year-old.
So that'll be maybe third year, third year, probably. Fourth year.
I don't know. Yeah, fourth year it'll be.
Maybe.
Fourth year.
Yeah.
So this is the non-exam year as well. It's like crazy.
Well, it's prelims year. You get prelims, don't you, or something like that?
I know, but they're not doing exams, are they, this year? They've been cancelled again. Oh, no.
Have they? Wow, anyway, I really don't keep up with it. It doesn't include me anymore, so I'm just like, I don't care. But no, it is a big deal.
It is. So just thinking, Joe, yes, it's great because at least 1.5 days a week she gets to get out of the house. She gets to go into school. She at least gets to connect with her mates, has to make the effort that day, leave the house. Hopefully that might make the change for some young people who just to break up the week, break up their day. Yeah, even if they go in for one lesson, and I know that's happening, just one lesson. And if you live near the school, that's not too bad. But if you don't, that's
if you're really far away. That sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was like the case at uni when the uni was just uni. You had one class, and people were like, I just came to for Glasgow for this, and you're in Edinburgh, and it's like, that sucks. So I feel how those people feel. Just one class, but at least it's positive. You can look at it in a good way, I guess.
Yeah. She's missing social interactions. Yes, absolutely. Really important in adolescent years for young people to connect with each other. They disconnect to move away from parents, and the family, new family, becomes friends. And whether we like the friends or not, that's who they're connected to. That's who they relate to. And actually, the social interaction, let alone socializing, has just not been there. So, it's really important. Yeah,
definitely. Like, for example, I know this is off topic a little bit, but we just got told that we may be able to go to the studio next week to do this instead of in our house, which was like buzzing. Like, we're not in school, but like we may be able to social interact with people and get to do it in an actual professional setting rather than in our kitchen. So that's quite cool.
So we're excited.
We're excited
because Sam, we're classed as, what are we classed as?
Media.
We're media, by the way. Yeah. So we can. So that's cool. So we're going to be there next week in the studio. Those of you who've tuned into us only since we've been at home can see what it's like for the studio.
It's like when we have a professional backdrop and everything going on, microphones and stuff. Proper microphones and lighting and stuff. Good. Jamie's chimed in with a wee comment here. I'm in school on Tuesday for 3 hours and I am so happy. I get to see and talk to people instead of texting them. That's always benefit. Talking to people rather than just texting people. It's always better. Even if phone conversation is better than texting. I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Who knew that young people would say that? Yeah,
So true.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
knew that would actually become a thing? So pleased. 3 hours on a Tuesday, that's all. And it's like just enough to give you the injection of friends and
Of real life.
normality and
To be
real
honest,
life.
that for me,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back to my school experience, and I know I wasn't in school in a pandemic, but that sounds brilliant. 3 hours in school. That's off the chain.
I know. It's crazy.
Oh, wow, I was fun.
So can I just say an added thing, guys? I just want your inputs here. My son said to me the other day, that one there, I've only got the one, that's him. He said to me the other day, I contribute a solid 40% to this podcast.
That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke. Clearly a joke.
He said you're contributing like a solid 40%.
No, didn't I say? Did you say? I'm pretty sure that I said I contribute a solid 60%, and then you were like, oh, and you were like, list all the things that you did, and I was like, well, that's a solid 40% right there.
I was pointing out, folks, his solid 60% is Googling something, some information, and then reading out someone else's research. Right. That's his solid 60.
Listen.
Mine is, not 16 years of counselling, and almost, by the time I've got this master's, 7 years of studying.
That's a very good point.
Enables me to say the little gems that I come out with.
However, you don't need information to do a podcast, do you? So I've also got another podcast on the go, so that gives me experience in this area. But then you go, man. So there you go. It's an equal 50-50 there. We'll settle it there.
Shall we?
No,
okay.
I don't know. We were talking about how, like, I think she was making fun of me how I've got nothing going on, and I was just like, yeah, contribute to the podcast. Everyone's laughing at me for that. Thank you.
My 14-day stretch.
I know. Joe's also said, who knew that school could have such a... Joe's also said, who knew that school could have such a huge impact on children these days? I know.
Yeah.
One of those interesting ones. Need to start contributing more than Rachel. # Team Sam. Fraser's on my side. Yes, Fraser, mate. That's what I like to see on the screen right now.
# Team Sam.
# Team Sam. It's like Team Cap or Team Iron Man in the Civil War by Marvel. Everyone Team Sam.
Well, we already said I was Captain Marvelous.
Yeah, that's true. That doesn't really work, actually.
No.
He brings at least 50%. He is, after all, the teen of this parent team podcast. Unfortunately, Jamie, I'm not. I'm 21. I'm almost 22. I'm not even.
And I'm the parent of the parent team part of it, right?
Even my bit of it, I'm doing wrong, which is really embarrassing. Martin has asked a serious question away from our stupidity. Is there any way we can help the youth with the way to work in this lockdown? Just putting out there for suggestions. Well, I think that's over to you with your solid 40% of knowledge.
With my solid 40. Now, listen, are you asking, Martin, is there any way that we can help young people to work, as in studying, during the lockdown? I think what's happening. Okay, what's happening? It's a brain thing that's happening. Okay, and this is really, really important. And I was talking about this at the weekend on a course that I do, and we were talking about trauma, and we were talking about the polyvagal theory, which you don't need to know about, although you could Google it. So basically, what happens is that we have this part of our brain right at the back near the brain stem. It's the part of the brain that forms first, or comes online, if you like, first from when we're born. It's the primitive brain, it's called the reptilian brain, and it's just interested in survival. Where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get shelter? Fight flight mechanism if there's danger. Okay, who's going to keep me safe? All of those kinds of things, which is pretty much all a baby needs to know. And then after that, the limbic system comes online, and that sort of is all about the emotions, which is why children their emotions can be quite full on and can swing from one thing to the next. And then the last thing to come online, and takes 25 years the brain to fully come online. So
mine's not even there yet, 100%.
No, exactly.
I've got that's a strong why 60% of there.
You've got a strong 60% of your brain online, exactly. Yeah. But so that's why adolescence lasts so long, because it takes all of that one. The prefrontal cortex is the executive brain, and that's the seat of thinking and reason and logic. When we feel stressed, or when we feel under attack, or when we feel scared, the brain disconnects from the prefrontal cortex because it doesn't need to do executive thinking. It doesn't need to remember algorithms and all the rest of it. It just needs to know about survival. It just needs to know about fight and flight. So our young people at the moment are, whether they realize it or not, in a state of trauma. In that they're fearful, they're worried, they're anxious. This is an unusual circumstance. Who knows when it's going to end? And the brain is protecting them. But in doing so, it makes it so difficult for them to focus and learn when they're in these conditions, because their brain is in that state of fight or flight, that state of protection. So it's our job to help young people to feel grounded and safe, which is part of the reason why I was talking about find them a space where they're able to learn, where they feel that they are grounded, and help them to get into a routine in the day of getting up, getting washed, having something to eat, moving around, setting up a station to do their work in, thinking about, this is the place I do my work, this is the time that I'm going to do my work in, I'm going to have regular breaks. I don't know if schools are putting in regular breaks, but we need regular breaks away from the screen. The screen is, I'm aware that, I wear these ear pods, and when I counsel people, the things that they're saying to me go straight into my brain, go straight into my head. And the level of concentration, it's not just words. I'm having to actively do something with those words. And so, I'm having to process and think about them. And it's the same when you're learning. You're having to do something with the information that comes in your head. And if you're not in that sort of mind space, if you're still in that, I'm not sure about this, I can't do it, I can't concentrate, which is what young people start to think. They go into that state of panic. The brain goes, don't worry, I'll look after you. And all of the learning, or the capacity for learning, goes. So, it's really, really important to have that kind of, so the breathing, and I've talked about this before, breathing in activates the parasympathetic nervous system, or the sympathetic nervous system, sorry, and it gets us ready. It gets us ready for the fight flight. It gets us ready, because if you think about it, when you're frightened or you're scared, you go like that. You take it in, take a breath, so the body goes, right, what are we doing? Where do we have to go? What's going on? Get ready. And the exhale is what you do when you're relieved. The danger's gone. So breathing is important, but it's more important to breathe out than it is to breathe in. So if you like, for example, breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 8. Breathe out for as long as you can. Get the breath completely out, because then the breathing out connects with the parasympathetic nervous system, which means that all of the whole nervous system reconnects, and that includes the brain, so that you then are ready to your internal organs get back working. When you're heightened up and you're in that fight flight, it actually affects your internal organs, because they're not needed in some ways. Obviously your heart's needed and your lungs are, but there's a sense that, like, your bowels clear, and they so that's why some of our young people say, oh, I've got a sore stomach, or they have stomach problems, or they the nerves are carried there, is because they're in that heightened state. If we can get people down to a much calmer, grounded place, using mindfulness, using breathing, then they are reconnected. Everything connects back up, the brain, the nervous system, the body, and the body can relax and it can learn again. Thank you, Joe.
Just is very interesting, Rachel. That's a good solid. That's you really putting your 40% in worth there, Rachel. That's great. Solid.
Thanks.
A silly note says, Fraser, but that breathing exercise helps me with going to sleep. Yeah? Yeah. That helps me. The breathing exercise helps me whenever I'm really nervous, or if I'm like, it'll be that since fight or flight when I've loads of adrenaline. And personally, it's like whenever I'm nervous or about to go on stage or something as an actor, but I'll just be like, right, breathe, and then like it just goes, because like the science you were saying there just makes everything just kind of go, oh, okay, I don't need to be heightened anymore. Yeah. Sorry.
That was definitely more than 40%, Sam, says Joe. Thanks, Joe.
It was. I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely.
Okay. So where are we? 20 past. Is that my segment over?
I think so. Actually, I just saw this thing on someone's story yesterday that I kind of want to read out because I think it's kind of fitting to nowadays and kind of fits in a little bit what we're talking about and what we talk about most weeks. So I just thought it was interesting because I was reading it and I kind of like, when you're just going through people's stories on Instagram, I don't know if people know this, I just kind of clicking through and then I saw something that was quite interesting. I clicked back all the times because my brain read it. But this, I thought was quite interesting. It says, "You're not imagining it. Nobody seems to want to talk right now. Messages are brief and replies are late. Talk of catch-ups on Zoom are perpetually put on hold. Group chats are no longer pinging all night long. It's not you, it's everyone. We are spent. We have nothing left to say. We're tired of saying, I miss you, and I can't wait for this to be over. So we mostly say nothing, put our heads down and get through each day. You're not imagining it. This is a state of being like no other we have ever known because we are all going through it together, but so very far apart. Hang in there. When the mood strikes, send out all those messages and don't feel you have to apologize for being quiet. This is hard. No one is judging you." So I think that's quite an interesting, it's kind of like what people are thinking, like nobody's talking to me, but it's also like you're not talking to anybody. So, no one has anything to say to anyone anymore. Like you can meet up with people on Zoom every week, but then you just kind of like, what have you been doing? Nothing. Or work, or, just the same, nothing's been going on.
Nothing to report here. Yeah,
absolutely.
I know, and you're right, and I think that's wow. What a powerful statement, and actually so true. We're not imagining it, and actually that's really important for people who are feeling even more isolated and lonely, and maybe we get paranoid. Is people ignoring me? Is it me? Is it something I said? No, we're done. We are so done. And I just want to say, hang on, please hang on just a little bit longer. It will start to get better. And but reach out if you need to for help. There are lots of places available. Let us know. I'll do a little shout out at the end again of ways that you can get counselling help for almost next to nothing. There, I really want to say, just hang on for a little bit longer if you can. You gave a solid 60 there, apparently, according to Fraser. That's really good.
I did. Thank you, Fraser. Hashtag Team Sam.
Let's get Danny's. Let's get Danny's message in before it goes off the screen. My teacher swore by closing your eyes and picturing a red dot to calm down. I think she might have been having us on. My teacher swore that by closing your eyes and picturing a red dot, you calm down. Well, it does. You see what's happening there, Danny. Now, if I said to you, look, whatever you do not imagine a giraffe, right? The first thing your brain will do is formulate a picture of a giraffe. And what the teacher's doing is creating it's a creative activity. Thinking about a red dot, for example, causes your brain to have to engage both sides, and it gets you focused and thinking, and it makes you connect up with this part of your brain, so that if you're in your panic state, if it says think about a red dot, in order to do that, your brain has to connect up. So it's a very clever way of kind of getting you to focus, but also getting your brain to connect back up, so that you can begin to calm down and begin to think and be in another state, emotional state. Have we missed somebody up here? They've kind of gone. Let's go back.
I like this comment from Jamie here. A realization I've been told about is getting a sticker of a simple image like a star and start staring at it as you play a relaxing song. That way, every time you picture or see the image, you can relax. That's like emotional recall, like sense memory, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, the same again. It's by association, isn't it? We can be re-traumatized by a smell, but we can also, in a positive way, remember. It's like sometimes when you smell coconut, you're reminded of the of holidays and pina colada and the sunscreen for some people. Those sorts of things. So again, it's by association. You're right.
It's actually an acting technique as well. That's what we use to get sense memory back sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. Yeah. And there's a good comment from Joe in there. I don't think we read out, saying it's so easy to say children are just lazy and can't be bothered doing anything, but after what you've just talked about, Rachel, it gives a real reason as to suggest they are far from lazy. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Yes, understanding what you're seeing. What you're seeing is shut down. And the polyvagal theory goes on to talk about this other state that we go into, which is a trauma-related state, which talks about freeze and flop, or fawn or faint is the F. So it's four Fs, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And the freezing comes when is when something really traumatic is happening, and somebody just goes, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. But we go into that state when sometimes when you see a young person and they look like they've zoned out, they're just not there. It's like, where are you? You're in your head. You've gone off onto a daydream. They're not daydreaming. They're dissociating. They're disengaging from where they are because it's too difficult. It's too traumatic to live in that moment. So you just kind of close down. The rates of smoking, drug taking, drinking, teenage smoking, drug taking, drinking, and teenage pregnancies are down for the first time in decades. Not just this year, since 2017, the numbers have gone down. The rates have gone down and down and down. And, it's as if young people are not acting out anymore, but they are turning in on themselves. And you see it so often. This is why I get so many referrals for anxiety, is because the bodies can't cope with what young people are holding on to inside of them. And even more so, and that was 2017, before we've had this pandemic. It's all being held inside. It's all being contained. And so when you're seeing somebody who just looks like they're not interested, or they've logged off, or they're just in a daydream, it could be that they're actually in that place of freeze. I don't know what to do. I can't, because I speak to young people all the time, is going, I did nothing today because I just can't. I can't think. I can't study. I don't know what to do anymore. I can't do it. And it's really frightening for them. And for me, it's about helping them to know that they're in that place of trauma, if you like, and helping them to calm down and reconnect. Yes, Jamie, you've experienced flop a lot. Yeah,
that's a great joke. Banging, perfect.
Yeah. Martin, Rachel, I was asking because I coach children athletics. Bandit was to change it up a bit. And Sam, I have done a bit of acting in my time, and I take it into my coaching and let the children have fun at the same time. Oh, brilliant. So let me go back to what you were saying there, Rachel. I was asking because I coach children athletics. I don't know if bandit's meant to be there, or if it's it might be, was to change it up a bit. Oh, you want to change it up a bit? Yeah, tell us a bit more about that, Martin, how we can help. Anyway, Sam, is the washing machine still going? I put the washing on this morning.
It just went mental. I think it's about to beep at me in like any second now, to be honest.
Okay.
Aye.
Right then.
No, that sounds like a heck of a very fun teacher, Martin. I'm not gonna lie. So using acting techniques and sports and stuff is very good.
It's so easy to close yourself off from the outside world, but if we see someone doing this, we try and help them or allow them to see it for themselves. Yeah, that's right, Joe. It's easier to shut off than engage. Yeah, and being able to reach out to somebody and connect with them so that they can come back from shutting themselves off. Yeah. Okay. Well, there we are. Are you talking about the time? The time that I take up is 40% of the time, because actually we do leave more time for your segment, don't we? Because it creates so much chat.
That's what I was when I was making the joke. It was more like, normally we tend to talk for like 15 minutes, and then it's just like Angels and Demons for like 40 minutes. But I'm glad we've talked more about other stuff for a bit, because it's good to get more of that other stuff and just kind of touch on Angels and Demons or whatever, which I'll get on to as soon as this thing, it literally has a minute left. If we can keep just going a sec, just 30 seconds, and then I'll take my segment.
Okay, so which one are we going to go with first? I'm going to ask our viewing public, who would you like first, angels or demons?
Basically, good
First
guys
one,
or bad guys.
yeah. So this is about young people being complete angels and heroes and doing something amazing. We chose this segment because we wanted to kind of have something that was, I don't know, just to show that teenagers can be incredible human beings, but also it's a time when there's a massive amount of mistakes that are made, and they're influential time where you can make some really horror decisions. Okay, Martin, more comedy into my coaching, then start the most important stuff. Put more comedy in.
Yeah.
Yeah, laughter's great. Laughter's great. Get them laughing, get them engaged. It builds up energy, gets them in a different state altogether. When you're laughing and you're happy, the body's and the brain's doing something else, is engaged in a different way. So yes. Mandy said angels. Angel seems to be the big one. Demon first, so we can end on a happier note.
Fraser, always the bad stuff first, so we can end on a good note. Actually, yes, definitely. We need some good news angels for me. Demons first, so we end on a happier note. That's 3 votes for angels first and 2 votes for demons first. I personally agree with the demons first because we end on a happier note. But if you guys want angels first, we'll go with angels. That's fine.
Go with it then.
There's fine. So angel this week is. Where is it? Is this the? Yes, it is. Okay. So person we're doing this week is it's called Josh Worley. He's 14 and he's from Norfolk. 60-40 on Angel's Law. Perfect. You're right. Okay, this was a Teen Community Hero Award nominee, apparently. So pretty impressive. Okay. The schoolboy founded his own radio station after raising nearly £50,000. The station is run by young people and helps teens, particularly the unemployed and those in care, to gain experience working in radio. This is a quote. If teenagers aren't seen as hoodies attacking people, they are perfect teens in magazines. Young people who want to make a difference in their communities are forgotten because it is seen as boring. So that kind of ties a little bit into what I think it was Joe or something was saying earlier, where they were like, if they're seen as lazy because they're not doing stuff. So it's a very fair point, actually. But I just thought it was quite a remarkable effort from someone there to raise a lot of money and also, get people involved who aren't always horrible people or anything like that, but just people who need it, And
Absolutely.
Not angel covers of magazines, but they're, really good people.
Yeah. So. That's brilliant. So doing something on the radio, I think that's fantastic. And it's, the whole kind of social conscience as well. This is something that, adolescence starts to bring in early adolescence and children. Yes, that children can be incredibly kind, but actually seeing how your actions can have a global effect, doesn't really come into it until you are a teenager in terms of how you affect others. And so having that kind of social conscience that's why, in teenage years, people become vegetarians or start to, get behind causes and things. It's because you're beginning to see there's more to the world than just your small corner of the world. And to provide opportunities for others and not just wanting it for yourself is great. We were also talking at the weekend about, this whole thing about social interaction as Jamie was saying when he goes back to school, just meeting with his mates and also with the other young people who a day and a half of doing that. I when I was a teenager and now you're a teenager, there's always been the same thing is there's nothing for young people to do. There wasn't when I was young, and there's very little for you to do. Certainly that's free. You can do a huge amount of things, musical theatre, football, gymnastics, whatever. But there's so few things that are free. And for young people who've not got any money, and for those come from families who've not got a lot of money or are not prepared to spend it on them in that way, then there's not a lot of option. So providing things for young people to do, there's an organisation in Dunfermline called Heart and Sound, and they provide kind of music recording opportunities for young people to go. And you've been there, haven't you, with your band years ago? It's fantastic. So, there are some charities who are helping young people to help others, and it's lovely to see these sorts of things. But I think, music, because it seems like if you don't play a sport, you're also out of it as a young person. Do you know what I mean? Because so much of it's revolved around sport, but actually young people love music probably more than they love sport. They love gaming, they love watching telly. If we can create more opportunities for these things to happen, then in groups, then I think that's a bonus. Okay, yes, well done, young man, says Joe. Well done indeed. What was his name?
It was Josh Worley, Worley.
Josh Worley. Well done, Josh. 14. Excellent. Okay, now on to
the bad stuff.
Redeemer.
This one is titled "The Snapchat Killers."
Oh,
so yeah, interesting.
Right.
I know.
Okay.
I think this is a. Oh, hang
on,
we've still
Sam.
got a comment about the
We've
good
got a
stuff.
comment.
So let's read that. Joe says, it's refreshing to see this young man change the way most older adults see children. They automatically assume children are selfish and think only for themselves, but news such as this will hopefully change their views. I love when you see young ones integrate with OAP. Yes, I agree. It's great. That's, again, another reason why we kind of do this segment is because we want to highlight there's a lot of good things that can happen, and we kind of also show that there can be bad stuff, and there's capable of that, but like there's some great stuff as well. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally, Joe.
The website, excellent.
Great. Yeah.
Can I also say, we're back in the day when I was running a charity. One of the things that we wanted to do, we tried to get some funding for, was to put young people and OAPs, as you say, together to take down their stories, because this is, the oral history of older people have got so many stories to tell, and there's a whole generation, the war generation, that are beginning to, we're losing them, and to capture that as well in terms of stories that you can pass down, that you can do creative things with, turn into poetry, turn into song, or make art about. Just that was another idea that we had. I think it's a lovely thing to have that connection, as you say, with the two generations, to the old and the young. Anyway,
but yeah, Heart and Sound they helped my band and me do like a little live segment thing one time, and it was a lot of fun. They recorded us video and audio. It was very good. But yeah, back to the bad stuff. This is Snapchat Killers. It's a picture of the victim there, for quite young at the time. They're with a dog, I know. But yeah, so in December 2014, two teenagers, known later in court as Girl A and Girl B, tortured and murdered lonely Angela, filming the attack on their phones. Dubbed the Snapchat Killers, the youngsters sent a selfie from inside a police van after killing tragic Angela. The teens also took a smiling picture beside Mrs. Wrightson before continuing to batter their victim with a shovel, coffee table, kettle, and a screw-studded stick. They were convicted of Angela's murder and jailed for a minimum of 15 years. A neighbour of the girls from Hartlepool, Durham, said, separately they could be quite sweet girls, but together they were devils. So that's the end of that article. So like the fact that these two girls have done horrific, disgusting things, like just like completely heartless, complete lack of empathy, things like that, together, like that's how bad an influence they can be on each other. But like apparently separately they were quite sweet, apparently, according to a neighbour.
But also there's almost a third party in this, which was whether it was their perception of, because it was a lot of it was about taking photographs for the benefit of others, and their warped sense of what would make them acceptable, or what would make them popular, or would be, it's not about this is something that we've done. Most people, if they've committed a horrible crime, want to cover it up, want to run away from it, want to not get caught.
That speaks to some sort of level of fucking madness, doesn't it? Sorry, pardon my language, but it does, doesn't it? It has to.
Yeah.
It has to. Like, you have to be mental to do that. Like, I'm sorry. Like some of these ones were like, oh, they're like, yeah, they're quite horrific, and they've been through some horrific things. But like, if you're literally filming yourself and like smiling and taking selfies with like a corpse or like someone that you're like torturing. Like, that's just like all sorts of messed up. That's probably one of, I think, the most messed up one I've read on the show. That one to me, because it's just mental as well. Like, I think the other one that came close was the boys who did the Reservoir Dogs thing to that like 10-year-old or whatever. But these girls were like, I think they were supposed to be 10 or something really young. Like, they were really, really bloody young as well when they did it or something. It's just ridiculous. I don't know how young you need to be. Like how can someone so young actually be that horrific to someone? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And they also got jailed for only 15 years as well, a minimum, but 15 years.
I know. I think these things are difficult when they're underage, being able to give things like life sentences. However, it's also how two people can G each other up. We were talking about this a few weeks ago with the tomato ketchup, weren't we? The guy said he would squeeze a whole bottle of tomato ketchup in his mouth, even though he hates tomato ketchup, and eat it if his friend told him to, if he was, peer pressure. And I think the two of them had whipped each other up into a sense of a sort of frenzy about, what was okay, and daring each other. I don't know. But there was so much involved in that had nothing to do with them, yes, you say, being empathic towards their victim and thinking about what they've done to somebody else and what that says about them as a human being or not. It was all about recording the action, doing it for each other, with each other, and for the benefit of others.
So how little do you think of the person doing it to, that you're like ridiculing them while doing it?
They're almost, like they're not even part of they're just something to be recorded, isn't it? And then trying to take selfies in the back of your police van. I mean, that doesn't show any kind of remorse.
Take the phones off them for a start.
Yeah, what's that
if I was the police.
Yeah.
Joe says something else here. He says, those girls will now be 21. I wonder if they can go back and change what they did. Would they do this? My bet is they would. Yeah, probably. That's sick to start with. I doubt you'd probably have any change about thinking about doing that.
And I think that, let's go on from what we were saying about the brain development part of this. I've just told you that it takes 25 years to connect up all areas of the brain. If these young people were, say, 10, we don't know, the stage at which their brain development was at, and if they had experienced trauma in childhood, that connectivity, that brain development would have been compromised in the first place. So, they're only, at a certain stage where they can begin to think in an executive way. They can begin to think about, right and wrong and all of those kinds of things, a sense of, you could say a lot of 10-year-olds know the difference between right and wrong. Of course they do. And majority of 10-year-olds wouldn't even begin to do anything like that. But also it demonstrates a little bit about, powerful things in the wrong hands. We give, so we none of us really know how to use this properly, and we give it to younger and younger people, young people, and that there's a tremendous power, but influence that can have, that gives them power, but it has influence over them. It's a really powerful tool in the wrong hands. Yeah, and Mandy said that's just a horrible and wrong for young girls to be doing it. Yeah, absolutely, Mandy. And girls, I think that's the kind of that we sort of. I think it's a double horror, isn't it? The age, and it's girls. And yes, we know girls can be horrifically mean. Let's not, there's a film made about it, Mean Girls. But there's, girls can be awful to each other. But we sort of expect acts of violence and murder to be more at boys. But just goes to show.
I've been saying for the last few weeks.
You have. You certainly have.
Capable of it.
More than.
No, totally. I know. No, it's a horrific one. Like, when I read that, I was just like, I can't believe that. I was like, that sounds like the plot of a film or something. Like, it sounded unrealistic and horrible, but it's happened. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, gosh, it sort of leaves you speechless a little bit. Oh, thank goodness.
It does,
Joe's
yeah.
come in, saved the day. From my own story, the one common denominator was the lack or loss of empathy. Rachel's explained earlier about the brain's function. Guilt is never a thought in murderers' minds, as they don't have compassion or remorse over their actions. Taking a selfie is a reminder to them to justify their actions. Wow, yeah. I think there's a place that you go. You know, when they talk about the red mist rising, and you know, if you get into an angry state, I've done it myself. You know, the worst version of myself, lost my temper, lost it completely. And even though at the time I could almost see and hear myself doing what I did, you know, shouting or swearing or having a go at somebody, I couldn't stop it. You know, I couldn't stop myself. And sometimes that's where you need somebody else to kind of calm the situation down. And I think it's the same, you know, with not just young people. I think all of us get ourselves to that certain point where the disconnect is so much so that you have no voice of reason in there. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm using an example where I might be in an argument with somebody and then it escalates and it escalates. So it comes from a certain place. And then, you know, even if you're having an argument with your spouse or with a friend or a colleague, you know, and sometimes I try and de-escalate things by walking away. That's not always understood as me trying to do that. But you know, but in the heat of the moment, you say and do awful things. But this story sounds like this is what you sort of, you think about some of these stories of murderers. They've gone from 0 to 1,000. They've just murderous intent. Where's that come from? They've made a decision. They've picked on somebody. A lot of these things take a lot of time in the planning and action that you think, is there no point at which you of what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? You know? And that's the thing I think that we can't really relate to unless you're in that position where, you know, if you've made a decision. That's why murder is so considered to be so much more different than manslaughter, because manslaughter is one of these considered to be, you're sort of out of your mind, you weren't really thinking straight, you reacted or you did something in the moment, it turned out bad, but you did it all the same. But you didn't start out your day with that intention. Whereas a murderer, they've planned it weeks and quite often these murders, you know, there's been an intent that's been taken from a place that they should have been lucid enough to be able to make the decision not to do it. So that says that, you know, in terms of, like, we talk about psychopath, we talk about that kind of disconnect from empathy. Do you think after the lockdown is finished, we will have some future killers who will try to blame the lockdown for their actions? Absolutely. Gosh, yeah, I do, actually. There may even be a diagnosis that will come from this. I'm not going to give it a name, but, you know, they're lockdown, whatever, pandemic, something or other. Or you know, I've talked about this term, enforced isolation. Solitary confinement is the worst form of torture that you can inflict upon another human being, because we are social creatures. And, you know, you hear a lot of situations where actually people have been put in solitary confinement. That's why they interviewed, like, Terry Waite recently, who'd been kidnapped, been in solitary confinement for 3 years. He almost lost his mind. And if they want to punish inmates in prison, they put them in solitary confinement, some for their own protection, but often it's seen as a punishment. And, you know, enforced isolation. Yes, there's not a solitary confinement per se, because for most people, thank goodness, they're in a house or have access to others. But, you know, when I'm talking about young people who are spending the majority of their time in one room in the house on their own, that's solitary confinement. That's enforced isolation. And you have to wonder what the long-term effects that has on young people who already have maybe a predisposition, maybe have adverse childhood experiences that has meant that the brain connectivity is not there, the brain development is not there, that then leads on to other things. Reminds me of the quote, prisoners in our own homes. Yes, that's right. I mean, I think that the long-term implication of what we've done here, we've had to do, but we did it without the knowledge, because there's not a lot of research. There are some pandemic type research, and I've read it out before, the impact that it's had on particularly young people's mental health. But I think that the learning from this has to be from the mistakes, as is all learning. If we got it right in every aspect, emotional, physical, psychological, financial, economic, we wouldn't be in the messes that we're in. But it's so difficult to make an emergency decision about something that's come along that we did not expect and get every aspect of it right. There's got to be some suffering. There's, definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Wow. That's a deep one, wasn't it?
You're solid 40%, actually grown to 50 now. I don't think I've said anything in about 12 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just breathing our air at the minute, Sam, aren't you? Let's be honest.
It's your world, I'm just living in it. No.
So tell us on a lighter note, because we all want to finish on a lighter note, really. Can you say what you're doing at the weekend? Bit of networking, bit of something that you're doing. You give a little shout out.
It's called this place. If any fellow theatre people, like actors or anything like that, if you know anyone or if anyone's watching, called Lockdown Links. It's going to be page. It helps people in the industry kind of connect with each other, especially like in lockdown, and get to know other people, make links. It's mainly just because people it was made by a girl in my year, and mainly because people in our year were about to go into the industry, and then it was like stay in your homes. So just there. I'm joining a session on Sunday, which is a lot of fun. Check the page out if you're interested. Joe says, I think I've contributed 50% today. Lol, absolutely, 100%. The comment section is all you. Literally.
You're our silent partner
he's the third member of this podcast, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag
team Eastop now. That's better. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Team parent team connection. Get that trend. Can we get that trending? Can we get that trending on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Guys, can we get it trending? No, because we have like 10 viewers.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm doing that. That sounds fun. What else can we talk about? That's good, positive things.
Don't know. But the lovies are getting together, everyone. That's good to know that the acting industry will make a comeback. Let's hope they do. It's acting and create, art, the arts. God, the
acting
arts.
And art. Yeah, the arts.
Yeah, they're making a comeback, and it'll be great. We're longing to go to see films, theatre, gigs. It'll be a while.
I miss the cinema
so
like much. I literally miss going to the cinema so much. I don't even know why, and it's going to die as well. The cinema's literally going to die because nobody wants to go anymore. But I love going to the cinema so much. It's so expensive as well, and when you can just buy everything on HBO Max or Disney Plus or whatever, it's kind of pointless. But I just want to go to the cinema all the time. And there's a group of people my age who really like going to the cinema. A lot of millennials and that do it. So,
well, you'll keep the cinemas alive then.
Just me buying tickets will keep the cinemas alive. My money.
Yeah. Right. So, thank you, Joe. Great way to start the week. Laughter is the best medicine. It absolutely is. We need to do a bit more of that. Oh, Jen. Hello, Jen.
Yes, Jen.
I love the cinema too.
See, people of my generation like this. They like it. It's a thing.
You live for the cinema and film and escapism. I'm missing going out.
Suit on for the dancing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I normally go. I was just saying this at a last note. I've been, as I've been telling people, I've been doing a master's, but I've do it in Dublin, in Ireland. But I haven't been to Ireland since on my break watching. Oh, thanks, Jen. I haven't been going to Dublin because obviously the lockdown, and it's been absolutely brilliant rocking up and just doing my course from home. But for the first time last weekend when I was on the course, I actually said to myself, I'd give anything to go to an airport right now, just mooch around the shops, have a glass of wine and the thing, get on a plane, duty free, go to Dublin, come on, be in a hotel, just bumming around. Fantastic. First time since March I was like, I'd give anything to go.
I know.
So we're done. We need out of this, but we need to be sensible, folks. There is a vaccine out there. We have tested this vaccine on our old and our vulnerable. Okay. And they've had it first, right?
Yeah.
Let's be real about this. And it's been fine. It's not killing anybody off. It's actually helping. So if you get a blue letter through, act on it. Go and get your vaccine. I certainly will, and Sam certainly will. Michael says you're an adopted Irish lass, especially as it's near St. Patrick's Day. Michael's
sure, St. Patrick's Day.
Michael's awesome Irish man. The Irish are amazing. I love them. Sam Richardson, big thank you for cheering me up, guys. Tomorrow is an emotional day for me. Okay, Sam. Well, we'll be thinking of you tomorrow, and yes. Don't think about it until you get there, but look after yourself today.
Mandy says, thanks guys for cheering me up after a bad weekend. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I want going out for a nice meal that I haven't burnt. Oh, Joe, I feel that.
Yeah, I know.
Happy International Women's Day. Beautiful. Okay, a good 60%. Okay, if you do a good 60%, it's easily your thing. There you go. I'm giving you that.
What? That Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, so you're
yes, guys. Happy International Women's Day, and rejoice. If you're a woman, be proud. Be all that you can be. Yes, thinking of you all at the moment. Thank you so much for tuning in. It makes our show so much better than it would have been.
Let's be real, guys. You're the 60%. Right?
You are the 60%.
This show should have been called Percentages.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it should have been called.
I know. But you never, it's like a lot of things. The title of things doesn't come until the end, but never mind. We thank you for Kelly, who's in the background listening to us, keeping the machine going. Thank you to A State of Mind for hosting this, and for those of you that come along who already subscribed to State of Mind, please subscribe to our podcast. We thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next week. Please look after yourselves. Find the right space. Make space for yourselves. Think about your brain. Is my brain connected up? Am I able to learn? Am I able to function? If I'm not, what can I do about it? Change my scenery, change my outlook, get up, walk about, do a bit of breathing, get a different space to work in, be in, and help yourself to get back to, connecting everything up. Yes, have a good week. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Thanks very much. See you next week.
Guys. See you later.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye.